Hello everyone, welcome back to Optimize FPL. We're going to be taking a look at FPL's wildcard for game week 34. Let's get into it. So definitely some things to consider. Does my team need a wildcard is the first one of the questions I put for myself. If your team needs a wildcard and you think that it needs a wildcard, then just hit the button. There's not much time left. So really the only other time you potentially would want a wildcard is maybe game week 35, but other than that, there's not much time left in the season, so you should just go for it. If you are going to wildcard, I would recommend that you do it early to get it in on the price rises. Lots of players going up and down in prices right now. Like if you have Coutinho, for example, I'd recommend doing it because he might go down this week. If you want to get Mount in your teams, then again, price rises could really hurt you. The other question for your wild card is, do you have the right players for the rest of the season? I would argue not many people have the right players for the chips that they have left. And they need to start considering what to do and how to get the right players in for those chips. And finally, do I have the essential players for the rest of the season? The essential players I will be going over quickly, probably towards the middle of the video. They're just the ones in every single draft, no matter what. And yeah, let's get into what we're looking for. So all the wild cards are going to be based off of best predicted points using Fantasy Football Hub, and also using my own intuition, and also using Ben Crown's fantastic spreadsheet that he's put here, that says that the likelihood of a Man City double is more likely in game week 37 than 36. It's the only double we're not 100% sure where it's going to go, but I think that since it's more likely to be in double game week 37 than double game week 36, I'm going to assume that that's what is going to happen with these wild cards. Now, if it doesn't happen, this can completely change every single wild card. And if it's more likely to happen in game week 36, then you might have to make adjustments. But for now, I think that this is the best way to look at it, is that every single team should assume that Manchester City is going to double in game week 37. Let's get into the first wildcard that assumes that the person wildcarding also has their bench boost left. So I've used FPL.team for the planning for all these wildcards. This is the first one. This is assuming that they have the bench boost left. Obviously, you can see they have a very strong bench. Lots of great players doubling this week. I think you'd captain Madison for sure. You got lots of doublers. You don't have any Manchester United doublers, so that's something to take into account. I don't think that these people should be having Manchester United doublers, because I just don't think that they're going to be that amazing for the long term of the season. The essential players that I mentioned earlier that are in every single draft are Schmeichel, Trent, James and Alonso, Salah, Mount, and Kane. I think those three Chelsea players are essential just because, and why they're in every single draft is because you know they're doubling this week, you know they're doubling in game week 36. That's a lot of potential points there, and they have really good fixtures to the end of the season. Salah and Trent, just fantastic players, and you think you'd want to have them. In the forward line, there's not a lot going on. That's why you have Pukki and Dennis in this team, and some of the other teams have just as bad forward lines. And that's why you want Kane, because he's actually going to score some goals. And then Leicester's Schmeichel in that, just because also he has great fixtures and two doubles to come up, so you want to have as many doubles as possible. So this would be game week 34. Let's quickly move on. This is game week 35 for this team. You'd bring in Foster, you'd bench Madison, Kulusevski. This is what the team would look like. Game week 36, you bench boost. Every single player doubles except for Cancelo. You're looking really good here. I think you probably captain Salah just because you always captain Salah on double game week. You never know what he's going to be able to do. Game week 37, it does say that Trent and Salah are blank. It says that for every single one. Try to ignore that. They are most likely to play Southampton that week. It's almost guaranteed at this point because of their fixtures, so don't worry about their blanks. It's basically guaranteed that they're going to be playing Southampton, so just imagine Salah and Trent playing Southampton. You'd want them in your team. Again, this looks like a very good team, lots of doubles. And in the final game week, you got Kane captain, you got lots of great players playing pretty easy teams. The great thing about all these drafts is that all of them assume you don't need transfers. They're set up in a way that you aren't going to need to transfer anybody out. That might be considered a bad thing to the most optimized algorithms, but I'm unfortunately not the most optimized algorithm. This is mostly just my personal opinion right now, based off statistics as well. So the great thing about this is that if you think that you want a player later on in the future and you don't want a certain player right now, let's say you don't want Cancelo for this week and you actually want Trent for this week and you want to bring Cancelo in later, you can plan that transfer out. I personally don't like to plan transfers that way in case injuries come up and lots of other things can happen that you need to stay pretty fluid. So I like to build teams that can last at least 5 to 6 game weeks without needing a transfer, which I think these teams all do. So the predicted overall scores for this team assuming that you bench boost in game week 36, is 392.4. So that is very decent for the rest of the season. You're averaging 78.48 points a game week, which is absolutely insanity. That's really amazing. Like, if you can pull that off to the end of the season and actually get that amount of points every single week, you are going to be flying at the ranks. So this would be a great team for you if you have a bench boost left and a wild card left and you're planning to wild card this week. The next team is if you are planning to wild card this week, free hit in game week 37, and bench boost in 36. Not much has changed since the first team, I'm not going to lie. The only difference is that you have Robertson instead of Cancelo, because if you're free hitting 37, I don't think you need Cancelo until game week 37, because that's when they double, most likely. I brought in Saka for Madison. Saka is in for Madison, because the only reason I really need Madison in most of these teams is because he's wildcard. The only reason you need Madison but all these teams is because he's doubling in 37 and 36, so he's really crucial there. But if you're free hitting 37, then Madison, you just bring him in on your free hit. And then Harrison, I brought in as well to replace Martinelli, because I just don't know if you want to triple up on the Arsenal team, just because they can be a little bit dicey. But honestly, Harrison or Martinelli, those could be very interchangeable, so don't get too hung up there. I just thought it'd be good to have a Leeds player in instead of Rafinha. So as we see with this team, game week 34 looks pretty good. Game week 35 looks very good. Game week 36, you got every single player doubling. There's not a single player that isn't doubling, which looks absolutely beautiful. Game week 37, you're going to free hit, so completely ignore this team. And then game week 38, you're left with a pretty nice team, and this is with no transfers as well. So keep that in mind that you have transfers this entire time, and look at the team that you still end up with. You got triple up against Watford, you have a double up against Norwich, and you have a double up against Everton. Some of the worst teams in the league. So that would be a great way to end the season. This team is projected, with the scores that I showed, to finish with 419 points, easily the most out of any team that I'm going to be showing you this video. And yeah, 419 points over the span of 5 weeks, averaged out to 84 points a week, basically 83.8. That is absolutely insane. Like, all these teams get you so many points. It is absolutely ridiculous. So I would really recommend trying to, if you're going to use a wild card, I think I'd use it right now. And especially if you have your bench boost and free hit, this team could go absolutely bonkers for the rest of the season. And the final team that I made for this video is assuming that you have no chips, but also if you have a free hit. The reason for that is because I think these teams are very interchangeable. The only difference is that you're going to be, if you have a free hit, that's awesome. Free hit 37, easy peasy. If you don't have a free hit, this team still does very well in game week 37, just not quite as good as if you had a free hit. You lose about 20 points. There's about a 20-point difference between the two. So let's take a quick look at this team. So we got Schmeichel again, James, Alonso, Trent. We all know the deal. Cancelo back in. A couple of new faces we'll see is Dewsbury Hall, Rodriguez, Coutinho, Cash, and Richarlison. All these players double, except for Cancelo, double in game week 36 and game week 37. The reason that I want to do this is because if you have no chips left, you're going to want a lot of doublers for those 2 weeks. And even if you're free hitting in game week 37, there are better players to pick up than the players that I have here. They're just the cheapest and also still are high quality. So if we take a look, pretty decent team coming out here. Game week 35, again, another very decent team. You're benching Martinelli, it's all good. Game week 36. So this is what the team looks like for game week 36. You are benching Dewsbury Hall, which is a doubler, which is a bit annoying. But look at how great that team looks. And I know, and again, you do have to bench Cancelo, which also does suck. That it is a bit of a benching headache. Maybe if there's some players injured, that could be very good for you. But honestly, I think this team looks fantastic. Game week 37. So this is what the team would look like if you're not going to do your free hit. Sorry, I just gotta quickly change that around. So this is if you're not doing your free hit. Again, remember Salah and Trent are playing Southampton, so completely ignore that. But if you are going to play your free hit, this team gets about 20 less points than the team if you were going to free hit. So free hitting this week is very, very rewarding. Let's say that. And the final game week this week, again, triple up against Watford. You got Norwich, Newcastle. You have you don't have a double up against Everton, but you are going to be playing. You're playing probably Martinelli over You're probably playing more like this, actually. I don't know why that was all messed up, but yeah, you're probably playing like this with Rodriguez, Richarlison. Again, you do have transfers, remember, so you probably take Richarlison out against Arsenal away. You probably try to take Cash and Coutinho out. Probably take like a -4 for this week to try to bring some better players in, but again, you're going to have so many points by this point, you're going to be looking great. So if you have no chips and you did not free hit in Game Week 37, you would get 380 points by the end of the season, which averages out to 76.12. So again, wildcarding this week could be absolutely essential to getting some huge rank boosts, because averaging out 76.12 points a game is absolutely ridiculous. If you were a free hit in Game Week 37, you'd be averaging out 79.12 points for a grand total of 395.6 points. That's a lot of points. It's slightly more than if you had a bench boost, so clearly, according to what I found, having a free hit right now is probably more valuable than having a bench boost. So that's very great for people who have held on to their extra free hit for up until this point. And yeah, that's basically all I've got on my end. I'm going to quickly show you what the optimized version of these teams looks like according to Fantasy Football Hub. So according to Fantasy Football Hub, this is the best team to free hit if you have an outlook for 6 game weeks, which is until the end of the season. You have Martinez in net, Azpilicueta, Rudiger, and Chalobah all on the team, so you have a triple Chelsea defense without Alonso or James, which I think is absolutely insanity, but it is what it is. You have De Bruyne, Son, Madison, Foden, Martinelli, so you're completely ignoring Kane and Salah, which again I think is absolutely insanity, but you know, this team is a lot differential, so if you're trying to gain rank real fast, this is how you do it, I'd say. Pookie and Watkins, an interesting front three, and you have Foster on the bench with James, Justin, Cedric, and Lacazette, I guess because they're double in 36, which is pretty interesting. For the next game week, you don't make any transfers in Game Week 34 according to this team. It's just it's not worth the hits. Game Week 36, you would change Lacazette and Pookie to Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison, which is again crazy. You're doubling up on Everton, I guess, because you have the next game week as well. But you're benching De Bruyne, Cedric, and Foden. So if you have a bench boost, that's great. If not, you still have a team that's going to score you 110 points, which is also amazing according to these projections. Game Week 37, you're projected to get 92 points. You're going to bring in Azpilicueta and Foden out for Cancelo and Zaha, which again is pretty interesting. It doesn't know that there could potentially be a double in 37 for City, so they might not take out Foden for Zaha. They might just leave it and just have Azpilicueta to Cancelo if they have the money in the bank. I'm not sure, but that's what the projected scores tell us to do. And Game Week 38, again, you have an amazing team. You bring in Tony for Watkins, and this is the team that you finish up with. This team, with the transfers that are made, according to Fantasy Football Hub, would projected to get 416 points, which averages out to 83.3 points. So this team and these transfers, according to Fantasy Football Hub's projected scores, is better than having a free hit and a bench boost, according to what I've put down on the screen. Take this with a grain of salt, in my opinion. I don't think Chalobah is scoring an average of 5 points a game for the rest of the season, but hey, I mean, maybe if he starts every single game, maybe that's true, but I just don't think that's correct. Anyways, this is the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope this helped anybody who's looking to wildcard this week and is not sure what they want to do with their teams, and it helps with the chips they have left. Hopefully everybody can now get a better understanding of what they want to do with their chips, how they want to play this next game week, and hopefully rise up those ranks. Please feel free to comment, leave any concerns about the teams that I've made. And yeah, if you like any of the content, please feel free to subscribe and like, and stick around for hopefully some more interesting videos. Thanks so much, everyone, and cheers.